these bland dreams turn out to be very
This is about as bland as it gets.
Yeah, well, let's go at it. Okay, now we are in a drugstore with two. We're accompanied by two people, so they're two male companions. So there's three of us in the Dream Ego, two other male companions, and we are in a drugstore. So a drugstore would be a place of the medicine of healing. Now, this is, I think, it's a place where you get, the very mysterious cures for things. Okay, you are. They also have sort of a magazines, a library type thing there. I mean, there's one up in Minnesota I go to all the time because this town is so boring. You're looking at the magazines where you find a book that is very out of place. I think it is a psychology book. So in these this collection of, in this place of healing, in the place where all the collective sort of popular culture type magazines are, there is one publication that stands out. Now, why would a drugstore have this this psychology book? It doesn't say what the psychology book is, but one thing I just always never cease to be impressed by is when Jung uses a word, he's very accurate about it. So when he says he's a psychologist, he is studying psyche. So he's studying, the master. He's not the master in his own house, so he's studying the master. That is the one who really is in control of his life. Or is the ordering archetype, let's say. Okay, now, so we notice that. Now, one of my friends tackles me and does what I think are chiropractic moves with me on the floor, which actually feel good, but seem rather bizarre to be doing in a drugstore. Okay, so there's three things that have went on in the drugstore so far. Well, really just two. We're in the drugstore with two companions. We are in a place where there's a lot of collective literature. We find this strange book that's not related to the collective. It's related to the individual healing, And now, one of these two companions, I think rather than tackling you, he's corralling you. He's just forcing you down into a position where he can apply his own healing. So there is the aspect of the healing medicines, and now there's also the aspect of something. Now, I even thought before we got to this part that how many healing practices are you doing at once, Gary? There's a lot of them. So, there's an aspect of Asclepius, who is really the god of pharmacies, is this, seems to be your daemon, this, this, the thing is that you seem almost compelled to seek out healing practices. So healing what? What is it within you that is asking you to learn these practices, learn of them, and to practice them? There's some archetype in you. Renata Daniel told me that, that my archetype that I was operating under, the one that seemed to motivate me the most, was learning,
Mm.
and she's not saying that positively. She's saying that that is keeping me away from the body, you know. But anyway, so it seems to be this whole thing is related to Asclepius. Now, the god Asclepius, remember that figure that's called the Basileus of Kos? The one that was, he's the king of Kos. See, the island that Asclepius lived on was called Kos, and the Basileus of Kos is the king. He is this sort of a daemon from the island of healing, and he comes as young as about ready to absolutely leave the realm of life and go into that rock where I don't think there would be any turning back. From earth comes his doctor in the form of this Basileus of Kos, which is his primal form, and he says, no, you must come back. Okay. Now, what was interesting too about that was that Jung knew that doctors could do that. They could bring someone back from the dead, but they had to replace the life that was going to die. And he, when he woke up back in his bed after these visions, he knew, even though he had only seen the doctor in the vision, that his doctor would die. And he did. He died in 2 weeks after this. This was actually on 4/4 of 44 too. It's April 4th of 1944.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, it was this just, wow, weird thing. But anyway, so there seems to be this, the drugstore. Okay. What does Asclepius always carry with him? He carries the staff with of the caduceus, which is the symbol of the pharmacies. If you look at it, and it has a couple wings on it, and anyway, so you're in this, you come to this place with two friends, and sometimes drugstores have become supermarkets or grocery stores, but this one has a book which I think is related to its primal nature of the psychology book, which is the healing book. Now, in this place, which I think is kind of this healing place, it has a very close relationship to healing. A friend or one of your companions is going to heal you. Now, you've been having some problems with adrenal gland and some other. What do you what is your primary motive in? Can you describe what different body movement you do? The fox walk. You do almost something that's like Tai Chi. You're doing Reiki. You do.
Yeah, it's like, so really all this is, it's like you said, it's for healing, but for me, it's more, kind of like you, to get more body centered. It's my,
Yes.
it's my inferior functions. So, and like one of the exercises that I'm going to do with the group next week is to, like, okay, how do we actually feel the chakras and stuff? And then it becomes a question of, like, how do you circulate the energy through them? So, Kundalini, that's energy from the inside that you're working with. Whereas Reiki, that's really from the outside. You're more just like a channel. But
Don't you think this is a dream about your practices?
yeah, it could be. And then the Shakti one, that's okay. To me, that's like, this is like, this is kind of like Hillman personifying the various chakras into goddesses and finding ways to relate to them very personally, in my take on it.
Mhm. Well, I just feel, you know, like I've been having dreams about the cranial sacral. I think this is a
Mm,
dream about your, somewhat about your practices. I mean, there's
yeah,
just this aspect of the chiropractic thing that of the friend and being in this place of the now you can say you know what does healing mean? It means to become whole. You know, I mean, the word healing means become whole. I mean, they're the same word, you know. So there is an aspect of the uh, uh, of and become whole. What does become whole mean? It means that you are in sync with the life force and the ego are in harmony and actually communicating with each other. You know this and so the ego is not ascendant, it is listening to the body. That's what wholeness really is. You know, it's listening to the wisdom of life, the wisdom of what we call the depths, but the depths are our body. You know, this, and I want to let's just finish it, and then I want to hear what Roy, because Roy seems very embodied. I wonder what he thinks. I feel the book should be you're going to go and so you're going to acquire this book, and this is after the exercises. You know, you somehow need to have this book, but you feel that it was obviously old and used. The corners are dinged, and there's writing in the book and a signature. So you think that
costly for what it is.
yeah, you want to pay the correct value for this. You don't want
Yeah,
to pay you want to pay the fact that it's an ancient book. It seems to have been used many times, and you're the next inheritor of it. So it's not a brand new thing that came just right from the publisher. So why would why would they price it as something new from the publisher? Okay, so anyway, I think this is an embodiment dream a little bit. What do you think, uh, Roy?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's an embodiment dream. The thing that strikes me about the dream is okay, you go in a drugstore for a reason. It's like an alchemical place or a place of healing. Uh, he's attracted to a book. You know, none of that really strikes me as interesting. The interesting part is where he's tackled in the drugstore. That's
Mhm,
bodily contact. That seems really extraordinary,
mhm,
and that's real embodiment. You know, physical
mhm,
engagement with another person. That's the really striking part of the dream to me. You know, I think that speaks the loudest to me.
mhm. Yeah, it's the most unusual aspect of the dream, and that's a very good way to look at any dream, Roy. I think. What is the most startling thing about it? Uh, you know, there's two things out of place. This book in all these funny magazines, which seems to be a very important part of the dream, and also what you mentioned, that the thing that is really unusual in this place, like you said, this is somewhat of a secular temple. You know, it's somewhat of a secular temple, but rather than a temple of symbols and religion. Remember, you know, you'd see a temple where there would just be like, for instance, you know, Tim's uh, iceberg or something, or you know, some type of a. There doesn't seem to be mythic symbols there. What is in this sort of a sacred space, a little bit, is this. This is where you find this physical contact of now what do you think uh, Gary, um, about hands being applied to the body. You know, I mean,
Oh, well, I go to see a masseuse weekly, so obviously I'm fine with it. And I used to see a chiropractor back years ago too.
now the Renata gave me two choices: cranial sacral therapy or osteopathy.
What's that?
I don't. It's somewhat like chiropractic, I think. You know,
Interesting.
but I mean, basically working with the joints and things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But I mean, actually realizing that you have a body. So I mean, this is a like the very unusual part of this is
Well, and I
like,
do yoga every day as
yes,
well,
yeah.
sometimes a couple of different ones.
Mhm. Well, and
So,
osteopathy is a type of alternative medicine that emphasizes physical manipulation of the body's muscle and bones. Practitioners of osteopathy are referred to as its manipulation. Let's see if it has anything mysterious about it. Well, anyway, it has. I really it looks very much like chiropractic. Chiropractic.
hmm.
You know, people
Yeah, I
staying
think
in.
osteopaths generally have, they have more of a medical degree. They have higher
Yeah.
training.
Mhm. But anyway, so let's just, I'm going to sum it up and then let's hear what Charles says. You're in a place which seems this, it almost seems like okay, you know, one time I go, I had a psych, one of my therapists was from the university or from the Young Institute in Chicago, lived in Madison, Wisconsin, and wanted me to go to a homeopath. You know, you know what those guys are? I mean,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's sort of like they're kind of debunked now, but yeah,
well, you
because
know, I
because
mean,
they use the poisons in minute amounts, and if they want it to be 10 times as powerful, they only use 1/10 as much.
yes, I mean,
And
there's,
it's like, and I don't know, maybe it's unfair to say it's debunked, but I always look at it and like, well, it's like, maybe I could see it differently now, but it's hard for me to accept.
Well, Rescue Remedy is pretty good. That's a good
Hmm.
one to buy. Rescue Remedy. I used to use it on my dogs when it thunders. Put a squirt of it on their tongue. It really works.
Oh, really? Wow.
well, what was funny is here this young analyst is advising me to go to a homeopath. It's a medical system based on the belief that the body can cure itself. Those who practice it use tiny amounts of natural substances. They believe this stimulates the healing process. It was developed in the late 1700s. But so the Jungian analyst tells me to go to the homeopath, and so I go, and it was one of the most mysterious places I ever went. You know, this guy had this wonderful. I don't know if you've ever been in Madison, Wisconsin, but I mean, it's got two lakes on each side, and the downtown area is like pre-Civil War homes, and with great big, almost like show windows, kind of bay windows in the front. And I go into this place, and it's just is like a museum in there. I mean, with all the wood floors and the wood uh, um, trim and everything. And I go there, and this guy is like a Jungian analyst. He sits there for almost 90 minutes just asking me about my history, you know. And then he gives me a prescription, and I go down to some like uh, oh, I don't know, some alternative medicine store
Mm.
in downtown Madison and get it. And it was just a wonderful experience, you know. But anyway, it kind of reminded me of going into this kind of a mysterious drugstore with the mysterious book and the mysterious friend who is, um, why would the friend push us down on the ground and apply this without our permission. In other words, they are doing this really against our will. You know, I mean, they're doing it forcibly, you know, and so who is doing it forcibly? I mean, what you would say is you would have two people who would possibly be doing it forcibly, or two forces. One would be the shadow, but I don't think this is the shadow. And the other would be the psyche itself. So the psyche forces us on the floor and gives us. Now, you have been trying to awaken the sensate function, correct?
Right.
Okay. And here, this the psyche is going to say, you want the sensate function, we do too, you know, and because it's your key, it's your secret door to us, you know, and so it is kind of showing you that it likes what you're doing. You know, it likes what you're doing, and the psyche wants to do it to you as well. So, you know, it's sort of as above, as below, you know. I mean, the moves that you're making in the upper world have been noticed by the lower world, and now the lower world, or the depth world, is now going to also be your masseuse, you know. So you've got a masseuse in the upper world and a masseuse in the lower world. I mean, because you almost made a religious practice of it, you know, and so it's being mirrored somewhat in the it is being mirrored in the dream. Now, the two things that are connected are the book, the secret ancient book of that is related to wholeness, is this is a you know, is somewhat like a sacred text. It's found, you know, it's very strange, it's very out of place, it shouldn't be there, and yet it is there. And then also this other person, like Roy mentioned, he shouldn't be there, he shouldn't be forcing us on the floor, he shouldn't be applying this massage to it, yet he's there, you know. And the impetus for it was to go to the place of Asclepius. This is not your normal drugstore, okay, you know. And then so the rest of the dream seems to be, we're going to go back to the other world. It doesn't have any comments about the chiropractic, but it just whether we don't, ego doesn't want to pay too high of a price of psychic energy for this very strange book. And why, I'm not sure. What do you think? Go ahead, Roy. I mean, Gary.
Oh, well, you know, I don't know, you know, it's like I look at like the demand on my time that the practices already take. And it's, you know, it's very expensive. And I wonder if this wasn't reflecting, you know, like a hesitation on my part that, yeah, maybe you can bring this back, but, you know, it comes with a cost.
How much psychic
And
energy are you willing to pay for
yeah,
this book, which you're not even really sure of the contents? You just think it is. So there is this.
So the ego is rebelling some, you know?
Yeah, the ego is saying, you know, we are not going to pay a high price for this. We're not going to let up our control for this without a budget. We have a budget, and we're going to stick within our budget on this. We're not going to throw unlimited amounts of psychic energy at this. So it's sort of a controlled, you know, like the guy with the bicycle moves, it's sort of a controlled descent. we're not going to pay
Yeah, right.
huge
It's
amounts for this.
yeah, like it's I don't think it's a good thing. I think it's a rebellion where the ego doesn't want to go all the way.
Yeah, well, I really like Roy. That was a very helpful comment you made about what is here that is very remarkable. What do you think, Charles?
So I was thinking just a moment ago, I don't know. I just thought, time. It's an old book. I already paid time for this psychology book. Its corners are bent. I already did the time for it. Now I have to pay the energy for it. It's also not even mine. It's secondhand. I'm not willing to give too much energy for this old secondhand view of working with the psyche and being tackled by the person and having chiropractic moves done to you. It just made me think of this song called Collision that is by some band. But the lyrics are, like it's called Collision, and it's about coming in contact with someone and just being forever changed by this contact. And within this dream, and with this context, I think that it very clearly points to a change. You are struck by this person, and now things are different. I think that this image clearly says that that there's a change here. That once you have collided with this person, or they collided with you rather, that things are not going to be the same. That things are going to be different. This is your new psychology. This is, your psychology is that of working with the subtle body. Because, well, I wanted to know if you could comment a little bit more on, because this is what caught my interest most when you said that when you had the chiropractic moves done on you, that there was some sort of like energetic change, or that you became like luminescent or something, was it?
Yeah, and actually you're right, because it was like, when I was tackled, once he started to maneuver me, it was like it wasn't my physical body. It was like, I don't know, like the subtle body, I suppose. It was like I literally changed to something other than, other than a physical form. It was more like I looked like some sort of light or something. And then he finished, and I was back. But yeah, it was all
That
very
is so
strange that way.
beautiful. Yeah, I missed that.
Yeah,
But,
I think that was
yeah.
I think that was absolutely key within the interpretation of the dream. And I think this dream is totally saying, like, it's a testament to your approach, that you're in this, it makes me think of my experience that I had of being able to very vividly realize and experience what I call it the energy body, but that's just me. It's the subtle body, it's the soul, whatever. But that it is, as long as you are physically alive, your soul, your energy body is directly linked to your physical body. And that I even go so far as to say that the ego does not firsthand experience pain or bodily pain or anything like that. It is actually your soul that feels all those things, because the ego can be knocked unconscious, but yet the effects are still there. It's the soul still experiences it no matter what. The ego has to just be around in order to feel that pain. And you can mentally divorce yourself from the body so much in order to not feel the pain. But I believe that the energy body always will, because it is it is, I mean, it courses through every vein and through every cell. It's what animates you. So it's married to the body. So I think this is a dream that is a testament to your approach of psychology. The old secondhand book, you think, which is fine, is not really worth the asking price. You would rather
verbal,
do you would rather do the body work, which
the nonverbal.
I think is great.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, yeah. Good observations.
Yeah. So the verbal aspect is sort of, there's the healing place. We're at the healing place. And there is, it is a neutral healing place. I love the fact that it's a drugstore. You know, it's the healing place, but there's no hocus pocus about dogma here. You know, it's just a place of healing. You know, now I think it's better that the fact that it's a drugstore is a little more mysterious than the doctor's office or the hospital. You know, because it is so neutral. And what now the luminescent part that Charles mentioned is so important, because you're doing the masseuse work on the physical body in the outer world, and in the what's happening in the inner world it seems like the important part, as Roy mentioned, is the massaging the subtle body, the luminescent body. Okay. Now remember, when when you die, you know, certain people see this body leaving you, this luminescent body. I mean, they can see it leaving the body, you know, and so as you're working through these practices on the outer body, the psyche within is working on the inner body. And so it seems to be there is a mirroring of your practice in the outer world and in the inner world. And the fact that you're so dedicated and so motivated and so connected with it, I don't think there's anything ideological about it. I think it is a great need within you, you know, to do this. And I think that when you describe this to, you know, the people in the group too, the more you can try to describe some of the experiences that you have in maybe even a poetic form, I think it would be very helpful. But do you see what seems to be happening here? What do you think about that, Roy? That there's an inner body that's being worked on, and he's working on the outer body.
Well, I'm kind of in a spookier area.
Mm-hmm.
I think that when he was tackled, I mean, that's real embodiment.
Mm-hmm.
When he was tackled, and he said it felt good, although he doesn't understand it, and he alluded it to crowdpactory or whatever it is. And I think that the soul really doesn't feel your pain. What feels your pain are these daemons. They feed off of pain and different mental things that we have. It's energy, and they feed off of it. The soul's not there. It's very difficult to get the soul in your life. Why should it want to be in your life? It doesn't sound like a pleasurable place to be, and we even talk about it. It's a terrible place to be. So why would it even want to be there? But it has to embody. You have to do things to embody, and I don't think we really understand what that means, and how we do that. So I'm thinking that people just assume that the soul's in touch, that the soul is the subtle body. I'm not so sure. I think it's a lot of other stuff going on. I think you almost have to be like Sherlock Holmes to seek out the soul and feel what it really feels like to have your soul in contact with you. just like the same thing. What does it really feel like to have your body, to feel the sensations of your body functioning optimum, like when you were a kid? I mean, we totally lost that. We sort of tranced and numbed ourselves out. We're a long ways from home. And I think that journey back to home isn't so easy.
What do you think of absolutely has to do with the body, but what do you think of the phrase that like an out of body experience has to do with this? You know, I mean, I mean, what Gary is doing is working on the woman in the black aspect, but in this dream, the black aspect is there, but then the white woman appears, you know, I mean, in the luminescent part. And you know what an out of body experience is? But you know, it is, it seems now shamans do this all the time, you know. I mean, they're, and it's sometimes a crisis because it's hard to get back into the body, you know. But this seems to me like almost one of those shamanic type. Uh, it's close to it, you know. This fact that the luminescent aspect of this second woman is appearing. Because don't you? What do you guys think that we do have that luminescent body within us, and it can actually leave our body? You know, at death, and it leaves it in almost a bodily form. You know, I don't know. Like Roy said, it's pretty spooky. But I mean, I just think the whole aspect of the practices that Gary has been doing, and just with utter devotion, has awakened something in the inner world that is very unusual. I mean, Roy, you've awakened something in your inner world through your relationship to almost these ancient magical animals, you know. And I think Gary, this is now the only thing that's sort of the fly in the ointment is the now why the book is rejected. I think it's too verbal, you know, and it's too you know, it's rehashed
Right. Well,
gobbledygook, you
I
know,
wanted to
stuff.
make another comment on
Yeah,
that.
go ahead. Yeah, sorry, Charles.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I wanted to make another comment on the book. You know, honestly, one of the most important things I ever learned from Jung was that you have to go by your personal firsthand experiences,
Mhm.
and that if you don't, you're living by someone else's. And I think in this dream, it shows that you know, getting tackled and having these chiropractic moves done on you and experiencing the subtle body, you know, that's his firsthand personal experience in this dream. The book is just something that someone else wrote, and this
Doesn't
is the
have very
dream.
high value.
Right. It does not have very high value to the individual.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, this is a very mysterious dream. I mean, the thing that is so mysterious about it is not so much the book, but it's the fact of the setting. The pharmacy is really is this place of the caduceus, you know. It's the it is the temple of the caduceus, and in the temple, and what is the caduceus? Okay, it is two spinal columns encircling a staff. Okay, so this is the place of the spinal cord. You know, it is the place of the double spinal cord, and the and it's just a very mysterious. It is the elemental body. You know, in other words, the snake always represents that deep soma, you know, the deep body, and yet it can speak, you know. And Young said, whenever the snake goes, please, scurries away, ego needs to follow it, because wherever the snake goes, that's where we should go. So I think that we're in the place of the caduceus, and in the place of the caduceus, what we're doing in the outer world with massage and Reiki and some of the Kundalini things is also happening, but it's happening to the subtle body in the same way as happening to the outer body. So I think with working with the outer body, we have awakened in a, like Roy said, remarkable way, the subtle body within. Do you have any closing comments on this one, Roy? And then we'll see what Gary says.
Yeah, I don't remember saying that it awakened the subtle body.
Well, could you describe that again, Gary? It doesn't say it in the dream, but Gary.
Oh, no, it's just that in the dream when I was tackled, it was like I changed, it was.
You weren't in your body.
I was like a
you were.
luminous thing, or, but it wasn't, it was like I was there, but it was more like a haze or something, like luminous or numinous. I don't even know how to describe it.
How about cognitive dissonance?
Yeah, that might be good.
Yeah, well, I just noticed in that cranial sacral therapy, when you mentioned that, Gary, that's exactly what I was thinking, because I was in a body that I never had encountered before.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh. When it was done to me, it struck me that way too. Yeah. I mean, it's just, at first you're like, well, this is nothing. And then,
you got to wait. You got to be patient.
Yeah, it takes time.
And there's a quick
it's not
drop.
instant. Yeah.
Yeah, and when she first asked me, and I was like you, it's not working. She's saying, how are you feeling anything in your body? And I said, I don't know. I guess it's a block of ice. And then she kept working, and pretty soon it was the head that's the block of ice, and that was what needed to be thought out. And there's been now the last 2 sessions when I left. The real feeling that there had been a fluid which was now evenly distributed throughout awareness was something that was what I've really never experienced before. That there was a fluid up here that was evenly distributed throughout the whole body, so it didn't just stop here. What have you been your experiences, Roy? Because you've probably got more experience than anybody on cranial sacral.
Well, I think we do out-of-body experience all day long, every day. So that's nothing. That's not anything extraordinary. In-body experience is what's extraordinary, that we might go for decades and not do. And these body workers, that's what they're trying to do with us. It's a very difficult thing. And some of them are talented and some of them aren't. But the ones that are talented, it's just amazing to have that experience.
And isn't it amazing, too, that there seems to be a wisdom of what you call body workers that is, I mean, that was what my wife asked me. Well, what do they do? Massage? No. She just will, for the longest time, and she's so patient, she will hold her hand in a certain place. And I think, well, are you done? No. Keep going. And she just takes the longest time in it. And you know what was the most amazing experience, okay? And I've had this happen a couple of times, is she's holding my feet. Okay? She's holding my feet, and I can feel her hands on my feet. Okay? So I got my eyes closed. I'm feeling her hands on my feet. And suddenly she puts her hand under my back and on my chest. I could still feel her hands on my feet. I mean, I was just going
Wow.
How did you do that? Because I could feel her fingers pressing my feet at the same time she did that. just like, and I said at the end, I said, geez, how many pairs of hands do you have? It's just, you know, people say that all the time, that they can feel my hands in more than one spot on the body. But anyway, I mean, this is, to me, Gary, is as far as your practices are concerned, this is a very sacred dream, don't you think?
Yeah, I do. And when I
What you're
first
doing.
had it, I'm like, well, this was incredibly mundane.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, it has to
But
do
yeah, I
with,
think, but I see it completely differently now. You know, my only, and I guess maybe the psychology book is the, you know, that feels like a bit of a rejection, maybe on the intellectual side.
yeah, there's something that's been rehashed. It's not your wisdom. I mean, it's particularly somebody who's doing body work.
Yeah.
You know, what do I need? Somebody else's rehashed accounts from long ago. How's that going to help me in my body work? You know, it's absolutely not helpful. And what's it doing in the realm of the caduceus? You know, I mean, it's not the power here. The
And
power
yet I
here is
wanted it.
body
And
work.
yet I wanted it, you know.
Well, yes, you need to take it because it's sort of a, yet you realize that it does not have the value of the body
It's
work or
asked of
something.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're going to take it and you just think it is.
Wow.
Something
Just an amazing interpretation, Craig. And
Yeah.
like
Well, I
really,
mean, it was,
really good observation, Charles, too. I
well,
mean,
yeah, and Roy too, I think
and Roy,
was,
yeah, for
just
sure.
let's focus here. Let's focus.
Right, right.
Well, does
Wow.
anybody else have a dream, Roy or Charles?
I always have one. I mean, I think I've introduced 2 or 3 dreams that we actually never even went over.
Okay, well, sure. Go ahead. I mean, I know, I don't know why we didn't, but go ahead. Go ahead. And then Roy, if you have a
Hold
dream,
on,
that you get
I'm
ready.
grabbing it real quick. Let me look here. I want to go over the one that was a snake dream.
I'm going to get some water. I'll be right back.
Yeah, okay. All right, sure.
Yeah, give me just 1 second.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little, you know, just impoverished because I haven't had a dream for a few days, you know, and I don't know. I mean, I was
Really?
feeling impoverished by that, you know, and I think the problem is that I'm either not sleeping right or I'm not following up on dreams I've already had. You know, if I follow up on dreams I've already had, I must guarantee another one. But if I just sort of look at it and don't say anything or don't draw it or whatever, nothing's going to happen. You might want to get a dream. Do you have any dream too, Roy? You could get.
I can send you one.
Yeah, why don't you email me one
Okay.
and see if we can at least go over, try to at least touch on both of them.
That was stinks. I forgot if it's in my new notebook or my old notebook.
Okay, well, can you? Well,
okay, I don't.
How's it going in Maine so far?
It's all right. It's a whole lot of kind of just, you know, working during the day and doing a whole lot of nothing at night. It's a little just, I don't know. All I know is that I don't think I'll be doing it again, but it's not bad. People are drinking a lot around here, but no one's being belligerent. So, you know,
Oh, how
that's
close
good.
are you to really nice places to walk? I mean, do you have to go a ways to get to?
Oh, I can walk to the beach in 10 minutes.
Oh, well, I mean, that's what you could be doing at night then, or is
Oh,
it just too dark
yeah.
out or something?
It's At night, it's pretty cold and it's very windy. Very, very windy at the
Right,
beach.
right. Wow, that takes exactly the right gear and some.
Well, how
Yeah.
are the waves? Are the waves get really big at night?
Not in that area. The waves aren't too big, but like there's these really, really massive boulders that you can climb there on the beach, which are really cool. Actually busted my shin really bad trying to climb one of them, but they're kind of a challenging climb. But I've been enjoying that.
Yeah,
But
you know,
don't,
for bouldering, what you actually need to do, you actually want rock climbing shoes that fit super tight.
Mm-hmm.
They're really uncomfortable, but it makes just an incredible difference for climbing.
Okay,
yeah, and don't take
I'm
it for
listening.
granted either. I mean, you know, I mean, you can often take a place for granted. You know, for instance,
Yeah.
where my grandfather comes from is one of the most beautiful places on earth, and and all my cousins always get are just amazed when I say this is like living in a national park, and and then they say, Craig thinks this is like living in a national park, you know, and then this one woman says, Craig, you would not say that if you had to live there all year, you would get very tired of it. I can't imagine, you know, the mountains with the blue mist on them, and then this deep mirrored fjord, and just so still. But anyway,
All right. Well,
well,
I found the dream.
okay, good.
And it actually occurred the same night that one dream that I brought, where I was in the underwater control room where the
Yes,
girl forgot the image transfer.
yes.
And while it's the same night, it's a much different. It's looking at a totally different type of dream here. So I'm in my cousin's backyard with him, and it's daylight. I spent a lot of time there as a child. And there's a very large snake that we spot that he is familiar with. At some point, I'm holding it just under its head around the neck so that it will not be able to bite me. But it does manage to get me just a little bit with its teeth. I ask my cousin if it's poisonous, and he says, yes, it's very poisonous. And then later he has the snake and he's going to cut its neck and kill it. He's very close to me and I do not want the blood to spray on me at all. So I run away and he begins to cut the neck of the snake and I feel some liquid hit my back. And I turn around and it just turns out to be a lawn sprinkler. And I start laughing and I'm very amused by this. And I start thinking about how I would love to tell my ex-girlfriend, Kate, about this. And that's all.
Okay, I'd love to tell Kate. Okay, now again, I mean, Gary had the dream about the caduceus, the place of the caduceus. This dream about snakes is very interesting. And okay, so we're with the cousin. It is you're in the cousin's backyard, and he's there with you. Okay, so is this your mother's sister's son?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, so it's somewhat related to the maternal. So it's the son of the mother's sister. Okay. And you're there with him, and it is daylight. This is a place of return because you spent when you were in your youth, you were there. Okay. Now, this is a very interesting sequence of events with the snake. A very long snake appears in the backyard. Do you have any idea how long it was?
Maybe 25 feet. It's like
25
a
feet.
massive anaconda or something.
All right. Well, 25 foot snake could be almost, a foot in diameter per certain points, or, 8 to 10 inches or something like that. So yeah, it's very bulky. You remember what color it was?
I just remember it being very dark.
Just a dark, I was kind of picturing either a dark brown or black, but I don't know why. Okay, now this is a snake that the mother's sister's son is very familiar with, has seen it before. Now, you go over for some reason, interact with the snake. Why? I don't know. But do you know why you were interacting with it?
I don't know exactly, but I've had a lot of dreams where I grab a snake and I'm like trying to grab it right under its, like right at the neck, right under its head so that it won't bite me. I've had many dreams like that.
Were you
But I don't
trying
know
to
why.
stop it from biting you, or did
Yeah,
you
I want to
its head?
hold it, but just so that it will not be able to bite me.
All right. Well, it's not something that I wouldn't do. I would go over and take so there's a certain amount of courage here, which is very hopeful, really. I mean, now you're going to have to remind us too of the dream of the underwater, but to go up to a very large snake like that and to take its head in our hands, the snake is representing our is a representative of the earth. So you are a person who lacks a lot of earth. This is you talk about being grounded. What is more grounded than a snake? So you're taking its head in your hands, but you don't want it to bite you. But it does bite you just a little bit, but not too bad. But at least you just get nicked by it. And you ask the cousin if it's poisonous, and he says yes, it's very, very venomous, very venomous. So the first thing I was wondering is, are you going to have any symptoms? But you apparently don't. Okay. Now, okay, so that is the snake thing first, before we get into what the cousin does with it. In the backyard. So this is the unconscious part of the mother's sister's yard with the mother's sister's son. And it's related to our very early youth. We see this very earth bound being, very mysterious, very, just shocking. And the cousin is it's been here. He has seen it many times. At least he knows about it very well. And now the dream ego, in this backyard of the mother's sister's backyard, you go over to this very grounded being and you hold its head, and so it won't bite you, but it does bite you. And now venomous, means that it is potentially lethal to ego. Okay, so who is it lethal to? It's lethal to ego. I mean, how many people need to be transformed by being bit by the viper? I mean, and really, it is also represents the feminine. Okay, so you're going over to the elemental feminine, and you're holding its head in your hand, and what is it? Isis, or who? I think she poisons somebody. Nefertiti poisons somebody. Women tend to have the snake as their animal familiar, and it is one that can somewhat take away that masculine aspect or something. At least because they always bite heroes. You know, I'm not saying you're a hero, but it is. I think it's pretty heroic to take that snake in his hand. Okay, so that's all happened. We've been nicked by it. It's very poisonous, but right now it doesn't seem to be an issue. But now the cousin wants to kill the snake by cutting its head off. Is that what you said?
It's kind of like slicing its throat almost.
It's like, so he's going to cut. He's going to, he's going to kill it by, that's the way you kill a lot of animals. Like goats and things. But anyway, just throttle it. And you're afraid that when he cuts it, blood's going to squirt everywhere. Okay, so you run away, and then you feel. Did you hear the snake being killed?
No, I did not.
But you just get hit by water or a fluid in the back, and think it's the snake's blood, and then but you see that it's just a lawn sprinkler. So the snake's pretty much out of the picture here. It was this. See, now we have to figure out why the snake suddenly left, and then we shift to this. The lawn sprinkler made us wet. We think it's funny, and then now what do we actually tell Kate? What did you actually tell her?
Oh, I wanted to be like, oh, Kate, you wouldn't believe what happened. We found a gigantic snake, and my cousin was about to kill it and ran away, and thinking that blood had squirted all over me, but it just turned out to be a lawn sprinkler. Isn't that funny?
Yeah. Now, was Kate actually there, or was this just a longing to tell her?
No, it was a longing to tell her about it.
Okay. So anyway, the moral of this story was that we need to tell someone this, and the one that we need to tell is the anima. Okay, now I think we've got some very mysterious nodes here. What do you think, Gary? Can you add any narrative to it?
It's so interesting because it's like he's inoculated by the earth snake. And of course, the snake has the catonic aspect to it that can, not only take him to earth, but maybe take him to the underworld, because it is the size of it, makes it, very mysterious. Now, the cousin is the part that I feel like we have to figure out, because the cousin is very familiar with the snake, familiar in that apparently, maybe he can call it, maybe he can communicate with it. I mean, it's about as close as you could possibly get. But the cousin, it doesn't feel like he's on our side, So, and of course, he represents some aspect of us. So, what aspect does he represent? Because although he's, helping to introduce you to the snake, it's, I feel like the being bit by the snake was actually a good thing, even though you fear the poison, because, you need the ego to die. But then he's going to kill the transcendent function, the way to finish the process. And when you run away because you don't want to be sprayed with the blood, because it's like, even having been, slightly inoculated, you don't want any more of that transformative substance. And so when you first think it happens, you're panicked, but then you feel the lawn sprinkler. But, to me, I think the thing we need to explore more is, what does the cousin mean in this dream?
What does it mean to kill the snake?
Yeah.
I mean, what is it positive to kill the snake, or this mysterious numinous being. Let's eliminate it. What do you think, Roy? What's your feeling on this?
My take is that Charles is about to be initiated. He's about to have a masculine experience. And purers, I think, like that. They like a certain amount of excitement crossing the line. And so he's going to have this experience. But the cousin, I'm thinking, is a daemon or a shadow figure. He's not going to let him have that experience. So he wasn't initiated. He didn't get the blood on him. He didn't have his individual experience with the snake. It was robbed from him.
Yeah, I think killing the snake is not is it to me is just a is ending the experience. This ending this you know the backyard of the mother sister of the feminine world has a being in there like the snake in the Garden of Eden or something, you know, and we're going to, and it's a magnificent, you know, 25 feet long, and we are going, the cousins, uh, the son of the mother sister, and this is all we know about him, is that he is knows the snake, and he's known it for a long time, so he hasn't killed it up till this point. He's very familiar with the snake, has made no attempt to kill it yet. Now, what prompted him to kill it now? It's because you know, so this makes me think it might be a shadow figure. You know, I mean, the shadow was very familiar with the snake up until this point. You know, but once we start to interact with it, you know, and then we're actually infected by that poison, which in myth doesn't really kill that much. It's transformative, you know. And so once we've done that, the shadow figure in this one of the probably the most wonderful backyard in the history of backyards, with a 25-foot snake in it, and he's going, and you know, how much would that 25-foot snake be worth? I mean, it's not a garter snake. It's an ancient snake of unbelief. Yeah, you know, every once in a while you see people killing snakes that big, and it's usually because they're so dangerous. If it is a now, see, an anaconda, aren't they constrictors? You know, and they often will, you know, grab a pet, or even a, you know, could a small child they could actually grab, and so they need to be eliminated for that reason. But it just seems very sort of anticlimactic that we see this amazing being, and we go hold its head, and it infects us, and then the shadow figure, or I don't know what you want to call him, you can call him the helpful companion or something, says no, because he poisoned Charles, or could have poisoned Charles, we need to get rid of him. Okay. And so the dream ego doesn't seem to care, but just says, okay, that's fine, go ahead, kill it, but just don't get blood on me, you know. And then, okay, well, now we don't know whether the snake was killed or not, do we?
No, it's actually totally unclear.
Yeah, if he really killed it, he was just going to prepare to clear it. But yet, okay, so from that, you know, first we're in the backyard of the mother sister. Scene 1. Scene 2, with the cousin. Scene 2, this 25-foot snake appears, and we hold its head, and it bites our hand, and it may be poisonous. Scene 3, the cousin is going to kill the snake, or claims he's going to. we're the only thing Dream Ego is worried about is that it's going to get covered with blood. So it runs away, and yet it gets sprayed with some liquid, but it turns out it's just the water sprinkler. Okay, we still don't know anything about what happened to the snake. We suddenly left the realm of the snake. Okay, so we are sitting there. Now, can you describe again what you're going to tell Kathy? What are you going to tell her?
I just wanted to tell her, I just thought it was so amusing that, you know, I was running away from this snake about to be killed, and, you know, I get hit in the back with this liquid, think it's a bunch of blood from the snake, and it turns out to just be some lawn sprinkler. And I think that's just the most amusing thing in the world, apparently.
Yeah, okay.
And that's what I want to tell her about. I just thought it
All
was
right, when's the last
funny.
time you saw Kathy?
Like April of 2020.
Okay. What now can you describe your relationship with her? It's someone that you long from afar but really didn't have a relationship with?
I even wrote it down as that she was my negative anima, because basically we dated for like a couple months and just did a lot of drugs and had a lot of sex, and that's basically was the basis of
somewhat
the relationship.
addictive, the addictive and the young witch. Okay,
Yeah.
is she still doing drugs and stuff?
No, she's actually a paramedic now, and she kind of got her stuff together.
Okay, but at that time she was she going to school at that time, or?
No, she was working at the same restaurant as I was.
Okay. All right. Well, so anyway, after these mysterious appearances, and then the snake suddenly is out of the picture, so's the cousin, so's the backyard. We're just sitting there with this amusing idea of if there was a possible great danger of being covered with snake blood when it's killed, and it didn't happen, and we were just sprayed with a little water. We just think that this is extremely important event that we absolutely must report to the young witch, or this. Now let's just call her a nymph-like being, Now, she's some feminine being who is at best neutral, and we want to tell her that there is a large snake. We want to tell her that someone was going to kill the snake, and we want to tell her that we ran away, and we want to tell her that we got sprayed with what we thought was blood, but it turned out to be water. And what do you think her reaction would be if we told her that?
She'd probably, I'm assuming that she would find it amusing, that she would have, I don't know, maybe that she would be able to relate to it, and that she would share the same amusement that I had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Okay. So it might be a way to connect with the anima. At least we'd have something in common, because she would be amused by it in the same way that we were. So the event of being present at the sacrifice of the snake, where the snake is going to be sacrificed. Now, you could say too, maybe that is when the cousin is going to kill the snake, that it is a sacrifice. He isn't doing it. I mean, what we want to know what his motives are. One of his motives could be that he was worried about us being bit by his poison. He hasn't killed it up till now. But it also could have a sacrificial aspect. I'm not sure. But anyway, that we now know that this event could provide a bonding experience between us and the anima, because the anima will have the same reaction to this that ego does. that there's this aspect of the great danger that didn't occur, and it was fooled us for a second, but it turned out not to be true, is funny and amusing, and that she will find that amusing too, and then that will be a story that we share together. So it's something that we share together with the anima. Okay, well, Gary or Roy, do you have any comments on that? I mean, we haven't pulled it together too well yet, but
Well, there's a connection between the cousin and the anima, I think, if it's a negative anima, because of the addiction aspect. And the cousin's sort of negative because he robbed Charles of his experience. I mean, initially, Charles was going to have an experience. It wasn't going to be funny. He was just entering another world. He was having a relationship with the other. And all that changed. And so it's like the anima and the shadow getting together, and Charles doesn't have a clue.
yeah, go ahead, Gary.
Well, and the thing is that, it was headed for the numinous, and instead, it went to the mundane. And so, I think what Roy said about the shadow and the animus, getting together, that feels, because, it was, the whole thing really does feel like an experience denied. So yeah, I really like what Roy said, and I think
Yeah,
that's how it feels.
Charles, do you have any thoughts about it? Just can you tell us what your reactions to it were?
Well, I really was not getting it, but just after those comments, I feel like I kind of get it now.
Well, can you kind of describe what you mean by get it?
I can try. A lot of times with dreams, being an intuitive, I sort of just, I get things, but I don't really know why I get things. I just understand things on a level that I can't really explain.
Okay, can you describe your your relationship with the anima and your relationship with the snake now? Or is there any inklings or hints that you have acquired?
Well,
with either the anima or the snake or the cousin.
So as far as the snake goes, I just sort of pictured myself for a moment just holding this giant snake by the neck, and somewhat of a heroic looking image.
Yeah.
And why did I just hand over the snake to this, I would say, potentially shadow figure? And it's just like, well, why not me? Why am I not slaying this snake? And this girl, she wants nothing to do with me. I mean, not that she hates me, but she's not interested in me anymore. And my cousin, who in a way I don't envy him whatsoever, but he is happily married and has 2 children, and has a very well-paying job. He works for Edward Jones. And I just sort of kind of laugh this experience off, out of just amusement. And it feels kind of puerish, and that that I'm sort of naive about it. And that I don't know, like I think it's just a joke or something. And that, you know, it literally, I had something in my hands. I was taking something into my own hands, and it just sort of, you know, I became a spectator.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is the one thing that at the end there is this aspect of the spectator, and but the thing is, this dream in encountering a divine being like that. I mean, to me, it's like encountering the shoebill store. You know, I mean, it's. What do you think about that, Roy?
Oh yeah, it's a numinous being. It might be malevolent or benevolent. It doesn't matter. It's a numinous being. And Charles was denied his experience with it.
Yeah, I mean, what would you do if someone wanted to kill the shoebill stork?
Uh, it, I wouldn't have a dream like that where I am now with my experiences. I might have
No,
had a dream like that in my 30s, but I'm not that person anymore.
no. I mean, this is a divine being. I mean, this is really a god, and there's this aspect of the animal god within us, the instinctive, the god of the body, something. This actually divine being of body is you know, absolutely a you know, to me it's like seeing, almost like seeing Christ, you know, in our backyard. I mean, it's obviously not a normal snake, you know. It's this absolutely magical divine snake, and and we go in. Now we just saw Christ's face, you know, in the sky, remember? And now we're seeing this 25-foot snake. What if someone tried to kill Christ? You know, I mean, I'm just saying, this is a pretty important psychic figure in the psyche. And remember, you said at the end that you're just trying to laugh it off, and because it's funny, you know. And in other words, yeah, the ego's not taking this seriously. The shadow figure, somebody's probably is going to like kill the shoebill stork or kill the god, you know, the shadow, and we're just laughing it off. And you know, it would have been nice if okay, here's Edward Edinger once had this dream that he laughed off some comment that someone made at one of his talks because he didn't like to be interrupted. Okay. And somebody asked a question and he gave a very flippant answer to it. Well, then he has this dream that Christ's blood is in a in a in a like a pan or a bucket, and he's asked to put his feet in it and anoint them, and he's sort of horrified by it. But he then, right as he was going to do it, he says, "No, if I do that, my feet will disappear. They will be gone. It'll be just like acid to him." And then this voice that invited him to do it said, "Yes, it would have happened that way. You need to take the psyche seriously." You know, so in this case, he was laughing it off, and so then they're presenting the psyche's blood and saying, "Why don't you just put your feet in there, take a foot bath?" You know, so it's sort of a trap, and he gets it, and he says, "No, that would kill me." He says, "You're correct." So anyway, now there's this. Now I'm not saying how negative it is, but there is this aspect of that. We laugh it off, and then we want to share the laughing off of the psyche with the anima. And we think that she'll be amused, but what if she's the goddess, you know? The anima as the goddess. And is she going to be amused then? I don't know. Anyway, do you have any, maybe just, I'm going to put Roy's dream in the text. But do you have any closing thoughts on that? Anybody?
Just that it was, you know, it was the numinous, and he took the head of the snake, you know, of a 25-foot snake. An incredibly brave thing to do, you know.
That is important.
And yet, and he's inoculated, you know. It's like
Yes.
not fully, but he is inoculated.
Mm-hmm.
And then the shadow interferes and he loses it all.
Mm-hmm. Is it a sacrifice or is it a murder?
Mm-hmm. It feels like a murder because a sacrifice would have to have ritual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was thinking. It was not ceremonious at all.
Violence.
What's that, Roy?
Violence.
Yeah,
It was
it's
violent.
violent. Very
Yeah.
violent. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a violent act. Egos doesn't seem to be worried about it, but I mean, I am recoiling at the death of the snake. You know, I don't see any, I don't think that it was justified, and I think it's a crime, you know, and I
Where is
don't.
the feeling function? Where is the
Yes,
feeling function?
there is no feeling function. I mean, this being that we should value highly, you know, is we don't care. All we want to do is protect ego from being sullied by the murder of this divine being's blood, you know, and we run away, and then, oh, we did get a little bit of drop on us. Oh no, that's not blood, that's water. I wonder if Kathy would like to hear about this. You know, I mean, so that now the as Gary said, it's just so important that we were so brave. I mean, that strikes me as very brave. Go pick up that snake's head. You know, I mean, there's just this interactive thing, but it doesn't seem to, as you said, Roy, have entered reality. You know, it doesn't seem to be, the feeling function hasn't been awakened in it. Why wasn't the feeling function? I think what it was asking us when we were infected is to have the feeling function activate. You know, so yeah, it is you know, actually, Charles, I think I would like to sleep on this one because I don't think we're getting it exactly, but I do think we're getting very close to it.
I'm still really perplexed by this dream, and I guess you know, as of what everyone's been mentioning for the past couple of moments, when I got just a little bit bit by that snake, there was no reaction at all. I didn't feel anything. I didn't have any sort of reaction to it whatsoever. It was just, oh, well, I got bit by it a little bit. That's, you know,
Yeah, and the
whatever.
only alarming thing is sort of the sort of the information from the shadow that it could be or should be poisonous, but
Right.
but there's no reaction. Well, let's
Also,
just go ahead.
I was just gonna say that, you know, it displayed that I started it, but I couldn't finish it. The shadow had to finish it. So I that makes me think of a puer kind of thing.
Finish what?
Well, I grabbed the snake.
Oh.
So maybe was I supposed to slay it, or, you know, like I feel like I just started something, but I didn't finish
Yeah, you
it.
started something, and then
I didn't resolve the situation there. I just initiated it. You know, I handed it over to him.
You started a relationship with the snake, and then you just abandoned it to the shadow. And then the shadow is really a destructive force. You shouldn't have handed off to the shadow, you know. Let's talk about this first thing Wednesday. But before we leave, why don't, Roy, do you want to just read your dream and we'll start on this Wednesday?
Oh, yeah, one more comment here. In that dream that Charles was talking about, where there's like the sky and Jesus,
Yes.
face of Jesus, and then like a stone in the middle. It was like a mandala, and the center of it was a stone. Well, the stone doesn't feel. All this was surrounding the stone, which doesn't feel like a mandala. It's like the center of a mandala that Charles is circumambulating around. So this feeling thing is very important.
Yeah, I mean, the only time we've met the feeling is when he's about to be annihilated. You know? Yeah. Okay. Why don't you just read your dream quickly, Roy, and we'll start on this next time.
Okay. Well, this dream I couldn't make heads or tails out of it. Adelaide had to interpret it for me, and I doubt if y'all are going to be able to interpret it. But I'll read it, and we'll work on it Wednesday.
Okay.
Okay, I had this on April the 29th, titled, "The Water is Receding." I am with this Chinese family. There is a groom and a wedding. There are all these rituals. It goes on and on. The groom seems overwhelmed. There is a kid on a long leash. But underneath all this layer is another layer. It is America, the principles and ideals of our founding fathers. All these Chinese relatives come to visit. I am in charge of the swimming pool. The pump is working, but is not hooked up to the filter, so the water is cloudy. Then the scene switches, and I am on top of a piling out in the ocean. I see a large black mass floating towards the piling. Some guy comes by and says it's a bunch of tires. They are coming right this way and will obliterate this piling. Then he leaves. I see what he says is coming to pass. So I leap off the piling and I swim to the shore, which is far in the distance. When I am up on the shore, I look back out at sea and the piling is gone. Then an amazing thing happens. A school of fish swimming closely together come up on the shore. They have this old Hoover vacuum cleaner made entirely of copper. I turn back to look at the sea and all the ocean has evaporated, gone. I am excited and grab a bucket and wander off onto the seafloor to see what treasures I might find. I see the groom, who is still looks overwhelmed and is weeping. I give him a slow hug and tell him, "Don't worry, I am sticking with you."
Okay. Well, now, yes, that we'll start on this. I think.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I want to mention before we go. Do you remember one of the first dreams you did was about the founding fathers?
Oh yeah, that was a dream that I had in the 70s with the pain body.
Yes.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, so the founding fathers are something very important. Gary, did you have any comments or Charles, before we leave? But we'll just start on it Wednesday.
Yeah, it's like this one's just like, boy, this is going to take some.
Adelaide had to fix this one for me. I couldn't do nothing with it.
Okay, well, we're
So
gonna.
you have to know the context.
Yeah, we're gonna nail it, guys.
Okay.
And Charles' dream. Okay, well, we'll see you Wednesday then. Thanks, Gary and Roy and Charles.
Bye.
See you next time.
See everybody.
Have a good week, Charles.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Charles. Bye.